All right, so today we're going to get into a story that, honestly, a lot of us might find a little too familiar. It's about that feeling of working your tail off, doing everything you're supposed to do, but you still feel like you're completely stuck financially.
I mean, it's a super frustrating question, right? You put in the hours, you make sure the bills get paid, but actually getting ahead, it just feels impossible sometimes. And that exact feeling, that's really at the core of the story we're digging into.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We're gonna meet our main character, a guy named Woo-Jack, and to really get his story, you first have to get inside his head and understand this constant humming anxiety that's just part of his everyday life as a bus driver.
This is basically the soundtrack playing inside his head, and let me tell you, it is not a peaceful place. It's just this constant, frantic calculation of every single expense. Every dollar that comes in, it feels like it's already gone. He's just thinking, stupid rent, and bam, he watches that money just disappear.
And that kind of internal pressure, it doesn't just stay bottled up inside. Nope, it spills out. That frustration of just trying to survive, it starts to color every single one of his interactions. A simple question can suddenly turn into a fight. He's working so hard just to keep his head above water. All right, so now we get to a conflict that I think a lot of people can relate to. It's that huge gap between all the financial advice everyone loves to dish out and the actual real life you can afford to live. And this just perfectly shows that disconnect, doesn't it? We've all heard it a million times. Oh, just save 10% of your income. But Woo-Jack's reality, man, it hits on a question so many people are asking. How are you supposed to save a slice of the pie when the whole pie isn't even big enough to begin with? At that point, the advice stops feeling like help and starts feeling like someone's just mocking you.
And this kind of financial pressure, it leads straight to being socially isolated. It's not just about missing out on fancy stuff. It's about missing out on life. I mean, he says it right there. He can't even go hang out with his old friends because he can't afford a single drink. And that sets us up for a really, really tough reunion.
So let's jump to that reunion, because this is where things really start to build. This is the moment where Woo-Jack's private internal struggle just smashes head-on into the completely different world his old friends are living in.
Yeah, this is the world his friends are in now. One's a lawyer, the other's in finance, and for them, a casual chat is all about making crazy money. It's like, for them, it's a game, and they are absolutely crushing it. But for Woo-Jack, it's a fight just to survive, and he feels like he's losing. And this all leads to a really key moment. His friends ask him what he does, and they kind of joke, guessing something fancy like public transport consultant. But when he corrects them and says, "No, I'm a bus driver," you can just feel the air change. It's such a small moment, but it reveals this massive class difference between them. But wait, it gets even more complicated. A super painful coincidence comes out. One of his friends casually mentions he owns stock in a company called Low Budget Transit, which is the exact company Woo-Jack works for. And then comes this line. The friend laughs and says, "Technically that makes me your boss, haha." And it's supposed to be a joke, but oh my God, the power dynamic it exposes is just so real and uncomfortable. His friend is literally profiting off of his work. So the whole night kind of builds up to this one critical moment. In what seems like just a casual conversation, the friends decide, hey, let's all share how much we make a month. And wow, the numbers just lay it all out there crystal clear. Look at this. The lawyer, 10 grand a month. The finance buddy, 14,000. And Woo-Jack, driving that bus every day, 3,000. But here's the absolute gut punch. You see that $3,000 number? That is the exact same amount his friend makes every single month just from owning stock. Passive income. It's just such a brutal picture of the difference between earning money from your labor and earning money from your money. Think about that. One guy's entire salary for all his hard work is the same as another guy's profit just for owning something.
And this one quote from his friend just says it all. It perfectly captures the massive canyon between their worlds. The idea that money doesn't make you happy? To them, that's just broke people talk. It's like they're not even living on the same planet anymore.
So after that reunion, you just see the full impact hit Woo-Jack. He is absolutely spiraling. He feels like he's on level 0 of life, Like he can't build anything because there's no foundation. Love, a social life, all of it costs money that he just plain doesn't have. Really, his whole situation just boils down to one feeling. He's trapped, period. But right when we're sitting in that feeling of complete hopelessness with him, the story does something really interesting. It takes a sharp turn and gives us two totally different potential endings, which makes you wonder, what's actually possible here?
So first, we see Wojak's resolve. He isn't just rolling over, he is desperately trying to figure a way out. He starts making a plan, trying to find a side hustle that can somehow fit into the crazy constraints of his life. He's looking for any escape hatch he can find.
And then, suddenly, the story just cuts away to a completely different voice. It's this perspective of just total, unapologetic success. We have no idea who this person is, but their point is obvious. They represent the other possibility, the person who defies the odds and wins big time. It's such a jarring contrast to what Wojak is going through, and it forces us to ask a really tough question. And that leaves us with the story's big final question. On one hand, you've got Wojak, who feels completely trapped by the system. And on the other, you have this voice of someone who seems to have totally beaten it. So, whose story is the real one? Which one is more common in our world today? Can someone like Wojak really break out, or is that gap just too big to ever cross?